What's up, guys? Back out here again. We're gonna try to get the fuel lines running for this Holley Stealth. All the EFI gonna come out of this Boyd tank. I'll show you what all we're working with here as far as fittings, hoses, regulators, filters, and we'll get started. Stay tuned. Here's what we got for the fuel lines. We got Fragola, 6AN. We got 20 foot of it here. It's the nylon. It's a little bit nicer, cleaner. All Fragola fittings besides the two Earl fittings. And they're specifically to come out of the tank, out of the fuel pump. And right here, you got your fuel pressure regulator from Holley. I bought the fuel pressure regulator in a kit going all three fittings. Regulator, the little gauge here. It's pretty clean. Got a little Holley EFI in the background. And I mean in the box you got here mounting brackets, your other odd and end stuff, instructions. It come in a kit. If you want to know the part number for it, this is it. 12-886 kit from Holley. I got it from Summit Racing. Same part number. And we got here the fuel log for the Stealth. I mean, this comes from Holley also. I really wanted a fancy one, but couldn't find one. Didn't really want to build one, so bought one. And we got our inline filter. We're gonna put I'm assuming that's the part number for the filter. 162-550. And these are just brackets for the filter bolted in the frame rail. This also comes from Holley, or Summit Racing, I'm sorry, but it's a Holley product, and that's the part number for it, 162-573. If you want to know the part number for the hose, which is, I mean, it's not that hard to look it up, but may help you out. 842006. Then all these fittings are just regular 6AN fittings, 90s, straights. But these Earl fittings, like this one here, it's a 90 to 6AN male. This end goes in the fuel pump or in the tank, and then this will be where it comes out. And I chose a 90 for clearance issues. It's the part number on it. AT9490006 ERL. And then it requires a return for this Holley Stealth. And this is your return. This is 3/8 pipe threads to 6AN. That's going to be the one for the return line. AT982266 ERL. Well, we'll get started here. My plan, I'm hoping it works out like I want it to. This is a fuel cell. from Boyd. So here, it's coming out of your pump. That's that Earl's fitting I showed you. Because this is threads are 6AN. And on your right side is 3/8 pipe threads for your return line. On this side is a 1/2 inch vent. And on this side is for your sending unit. I really like the Boyd tank. It fits nice in the truck. In the frame rails, you got a little bit of gap. I mean, it's dirty right now, but it's real nice. It's got a in-tank air motive pump. You can get Boyd to send it to you with the pump in it or without the pump. That's the part number on the pump. I want to say it's good for 650 horsepower naturally aspirated. But yeah, we're gonna try to get started. We're gonna try to come out the top here and 90 back to the frame. And like I got all my wiring for my air control or air ride for my manifold. Run down the frame all the way down to just a little bit right in front of the battery boxes, and I think I'm gonna go through the frame with both lines right there. And then we're gonna jump back inside the frame and to the front. And I got rubber grommets and all to protect the hoses, because I really don't want to run it on top of the frame beside the battery box there. And I can't run it on the inside because right here you got your shock, and I can't run it underneath the frame under the bottom here and then jump up there, because you got your 4 links there and ain't a whole lot of room, as you can tell. And once this thing airs all the way out, that axle is pretty much almost touching once you air it all the way out. So my only option is to run it on top of the frame rail or down the side. I think it'll look better down the side, a lot cleaner. So we'll get started here. Y'all stay tuned. If you got a Boyd tank in your C10, like me, fuel injection, and you're wondering what the part number coming out of your pump here for your 6AN, this is it. It's got your little O-ring on it. It's Earl's. Part number AT9490006 ERL. And we're going to install it right quick. And this 90 up here will swivel whichever direction you want to run, so that's good also. Now we gotta put an end on our hose and get to running it.
Soundstripe. 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 Soundstripe.
All right, we got our fuel line hooked up to our tank back here. Now we're gonna work on running it down inside this frame rail. I'm gonna use these clamps right here, I guess you'd call them. Probably gonna kind of put the first one there. Probably with one in the center. We're just gonna follow this wiring right here. How we gonna attach it? Because this back half is basically boxed in. You can't get to the inside. It's fully boxed in. We'll take and mark our hole here. We're going to use these nut rivets. There you go. The nut rivet gun here. So you ain't never used one, I can give you the rundown on it. That's how I got all this wiring bolted in. You ain't got to worry about trying to put a nut on the inside the frame. Just stick a bolt in it, and it sits pretty flush with the frame. I'll give it about sticks up maybe a 16th, but ain't no big deal. We'll get started here. We'll center punch our hole and slap a couple rivets in.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
All right, we got our holes drilled. This rivet here calls for a 3/8 hole. You don't know how to use this? This thing come from Harbor Freight. So you open the jaws up all the way. Had it backwards. Lip to the tool. Spinning on there as deep as it'll go. You just take it, put it in the hole, keep it flush. Squeeze it tight. And you hold your jaws back out. Take this here and spin it back out. And now you can take whatever you got clamp wise. Let me get a bolt here. Take your clamp, 1/4 inch bolt. Well, let me just take the bolt out. Go through it. And there it is. Just that simple. And you're probably wondering if they're strong. They are, because I put 4 in my bed, a little bit bigger than this, 5/16, and I could pick that whole bed up out of 4 of these eyes. So they're strong, but you got to make sure that when you crip them in there, hit it 2 or 3 times. If not, sometimes they will spin. So just main thing is keeping it flush with the face, cripping it down. That's it. So we'll hit another one right here. Again, just tool all the way opened up. As far as it'll go. Stick it in the hole. Make sure she's square and flush. Pinch it down. I like to rotate it. Pinch it down again. Pinch it down again. Keep the tool open. And that's all there is to it. But we'll continue on. Probably put a couple more. And these here, I'm going to put 2 clamps in the same hole. But right here, I won't be able to because the hose will kind of hang below the frame. So I'll have to come here and put one there. But we'll get it. I got plenty of them. You can get a whole bag of these things off Amazon for a little bit of nothing. And the tool really is not expensive from Harbor Freight. So we'll continue on. So we got a visitor. Mr. Coulter Hank. What's up, big boy? You sleepy? Was you napping? Was you napping? Yeah. Poor fella. We're making a little progress. I'm going to try to go through the frame down there. You got it plumbed down the frame there. All the brackets. And going through the frame with a rubber grommet on there. Kind of looks tacky. And you ask, why don't you use a bulkhead fitting? Well, it comes through about right here. You won't never be able to get on the back side. But you got right here, and I think about right here, I'm gonna put my fuel filter. So get this thing taped up and get it cut. Pull it back through. The hole is big enough for me to put a fitting on it. So to pull the fitting through the frame rail, I'll say. Yeah. Man, them headers look nice. But we'll continue on. Back out here again today. We kind of shut it down last night. Back out here this morning, and after thinking about it last night, I'm gonna not do that. Not run it through the frame, because once I run it inside the frame, it's gonna be real close to my exhaust, and I don't want my fuel to be getting hot. Even though it is a return system, it kind of keeps the fuel cool. we're gonna go with a little different route. I mean, I can always weld this hole up. Ain't nothing to it. It's metal. It ain't wood. So we're gonna run it underneath the battery box right there, and I have tested it. It will open all the way. So we're gonna run it through there, and we're gonna mount that fuel filter right on the other side of that splice plate. Right there. Between the GSI transmission cross member and that splice plate. Now we're gonna put our fittings in our fuel filter. We got a 3/8 NPT to 6AN. And on these pipe threads, you want to use some kind of sealer. See here, I got Permatex Seal Lock. Supposedly it seals up to 1,000 PSI. And it's got a little lock to it for vibration stuff. Just take you a little bit. It don't take a whole lot. We'll get this thing tight. I'll repeat the process for the other side. And this stuff is good for, this locker here is good for gasoline, brake lines, temperature sensors. It's good for a numerous amount of things. So they say some of these sealants, like regular old pipe dope, don't like to hold up to gasoline. So and that's what's going to be running through these lines. So there she is. Looks good. And then we're going to take and put a straight on this hose here. If you ain't never done it, I mean, there's thousands of videos on YouTube. This is your fit, and when you get it, you're going to take this sleeve off. That's what it looks like. Put this sleeve on the hose first, and then you're just going to tighten it back in that sleeve. When I cut this thing, taped it with masking tape. I cut it with a Matavo with a cutting disc. So I ain't got one of them special hose cutters, and that's about the best thing because it does have metal in it, wire. So and as you can see, I got several layers of tape. But it's how you want it. You don't want it to unfray when you're trying to slip this sleeve on or collar. I like to take a little lube. This is cutting oil, just something a little. Well, I shot it all the way through. Something to kind of get it lubed up a little bit. Just take it, get it started on there. If you look on the inside, you want the hose to be flush against the lip of this fitting on the inside. That's where the little bit of oil lubricant comes in. And then we'll take it over here to the vise. I put masking tape on it to kind of protect the fitting itself. But as you can tell, I don't have any AN wrenches, so but I try my best to protect the fitting. And the same thing with this end. I'm gonna put just a little dab. Get it lubed up. What it is, when you tighten it up, it forces it down in that hose. So a little bit of lube help it go in. Get the right wrench. And you want to tighten it up to this top fitting here, flush with this collar. There's your connection. See how she's flush? That's all there is to it. Pretty simple. Believe it or not, only got one little scar on there, but it'll be under the truck, so nobody will see it. We'll go over here and try to get the pump, or I'm sorry, not the pump, but the filter installed, the hardware. Put this hose on it, and then our next step is be tying into your regulator. As you can see, she's mounted and installed. Headed on to the front of the truck to the engine compartment. See if we can't get this thing tied into the regulator. Find us a good place to mount it. Looks good. Pretty simple job, so we'll move on to the next one. So we come up outside the frame rail with that body support or brace, and what I got in mind is mounting this regulator about right there. I mean, I know it's kind of ain't as clean on the firewall, but I mean, you got to be able to get to it and read your gauge and adjust it if you have to. And then we got a little short span, so it'll go from here to the regulator. So I'm gonna try to get it mounted up. Try our best to get it level. Way it won't look terrible. And mark them 2 holes. But it'll kind of be here, and your hose comes up, and it's away from your exhaust too. So hit here, and then your return will come right down and go the same direction your feed come from. So get started on mounting this thing up. Don't have to install. But your hose length. Your hose here, length, you install. I'll drop down here into the hose plant and hold that in place. I'll pick it back on. Alright, we got our 90 put on this hose. Then we got our little short hose. Short hose. There's from your regulator to your steps. We'll go ahead and bolt them up or tighten them up. Well, that's it. Just that simple. And now we gotta start our return. It comes out of the bottom of the regulator. It goes all the way back to the tank, to the return port on the tank. So we're gonna get started on that. Put us a few fittings on the hose, and I'll cut y'all back on. Well, we got everything buttoned up. Got our return line here, and we got our gauge in. But eventually we're gonna pull this gauge back out. We're gonna put a pressure switch or sensor in there and pin it into the ECU so we can track it on the logs or whatever. You check it through the ECU. And I just run that return right along with the feed. A few zip ties. It's got plenty of support, so I'm just gonna zip tie it back to the support. Don't look too bad on the firewall, I guess. I mean, it's the only real decent place to put it. Well, we'll get down here and start this return all the way back to the tank. get it going. I'll show you when we tie it into the tank. Cut you back on in. All right, now we got our return here, following the main feed, just following it back down the frame. Here it is, following it all the way down the frame rail, coming all the way back to your return. So now we got all the fuel lines run. We're going to put some fuel in the tank and flush them. So we'll get this thing filled up and I'll cut y'all back on when we start flushing. Well, flushing the lines on the tank. We ain't gonna flush them too long. You can hear the fuel pump running. Now we're ready to hook all our fuel lines up. Now we got that line flush. The short line coming out of here, this one here, we flushed it and we blowed it out with an air hose. So this will be good. So when we get everything hooked up to the throttle body, we'll take the return line from the tank, put it in the gas can, and flush it also. So we almost ready to wire this thing up, all the Holley stuff, so y'all stay tuned. It's gonna be it for today. Try to get some stuff done so we can get this thing running. I appreciate y'all watching, tuning in. I'm gonna keep the videos coming. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe.